You did this on purpose. That post is an illegal structure, and I am suing you for every single dollar of damage to my vehicle. My attorney will be calling you before the end of today. This is a hazard. This is an illegal hazard, and you placed it here knowing exactly what would happen, and I will have it removed, and you will pay for everything. At 9 Halcyon Ridge Court, she informed him that his concrete mailbox installation was an unauthorized permanent structure under Section 5.8 of the Silverbrook Subdivision Charter. That a $7,000 fine had been entered against his property deed with immediate effect, and that the Williamson County Code Enforcement Office had already been notified and would be conducting an inspection within the week. She said all of this 4 days after her SUV had sustained $14,000 in front-end damage hitting that same post at the same speed she had used to destroy his previous mailboxes without any consequence. What she did not know was that the homeowner was a licensed contractor who had built the post to every USPS and county specification, had footage of all 4 previous destructions on a camera system backed up to 3 separate locations, and had an attorney who had already reviewed that footage and described the accumulated criminal mischief charges she was facing as the kind of case that ends careers and empties bank accounts at the same time. Forrest Holden, 44, a licensed general contractor who had spent 18 years building and renovating residential properties across North Texas, had lived at 9 Halcyon Ridge Court in the Silverbrook subdivision of McKinney, Texas, for just under 2 years. Silverbrook sat in Collin County, a middle-class neighborhood of well-maintained brick homes, wide streets, and the kind of community where people took genuine pride in their properties and generally left each other alone. Forrest had bought his home knowing exactly what he was getting: a solid house in a decent neighborhood with good school ratings and reasonable HOA dues. He had renovated the back patio his first summer there, kept his lawn in perfect condition, and had never received a single legitimate complaint from anyone on Halcyon Ridge Court. He was coming home from a job site on a Tuesday evening in late September when he noticed his mailbox was lying on the ground. The post had snapped clean at the base, and the box itself sat in the grass at the edge of his property. He looked at the damage, looked at the street, and assumed someone had clipped it while pulling out of a driveway too wide for their turn. He reset the post, repacked the base, and went inside. 2 weeks later, it was on the ground again. Same clean break, same position in the grass, same complete absence of any note or apology from whoever had done it. He fixed it a second time and ordered a driveway camera that same afternoon. The camera went live 4 days later, and the very next week it captured Eugenia Marlowe, 58, HOA president of Silverbrook for the past 9 years, steering her black Cadillac Escalade deliberately into his mailbox, post at the edge of Halcyon Ridge Court, as she drove past on a Thursday morning. Not clipping it, not drifting into it, but turning her wheel toward it with enough clear intention that the post went down on the very first pass, and she kept driving without slowing down at all. Forrest watched the footage twice. Then he called his attorney and started drawing up plans for something she would not be able to knock down. Before we go any further, what city or country are you watching from? Drop it in the comments below. We genuinely love seeing where everyone is tuning in from. And if you believe that no HOA president has the right to destroy a homeowner's property and then turn around and fine them for replacing it, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button and join us right here on HOA Unhinged. Forrest filed a police report with the McKinney Police Department the morning after he reviewed the footage. He submitted the camera recording along with the report and noted that this was the second confirmed destruction of his mailbox, and that he believed the same vehicle had also been responsible for the first incident, which he had not managed to capture on camera. The responding officer reviewed the footage, confirmed the deliberate nature of the impact, and opened a criminal mischief case under Texas Penal Code 28.03. The case was assigned a report number, and Forrest was told to expect follow-up contact within the week. The follow-up never came. What came instead was a phone call from the investigating officer, informing Forrest that the registered owner of the Cadillac Escalade had denied any involvement. And that without additional corroborating evidence, the case would remain open but inactive. Forrest asked whether the camera footage was not sufficient corroboration on its own. The officer told him the footage showed the impact clearly, but that the plate had not been captured at a clean enough angle from where the camera was positioned, and that the registered owner's denial meant the case needed more before it could move forward. Forrest thanked him, ended the call, and repositioned his camera that very evening to cover the full width of the street, along with the license plate of any vehicle passing in front of his property. 3 weeks later, Eugenia drove over his mailbox for the third time. The repositioned camera caught the full front plate of the Escalade in clear daylight as it turned deliberately into the post. Forrest filed a second police report the next morning with the new footage attached. This time the plate was readable. This time the case carried no ambiguity at all. The investigating officer called him back within 2 days and confirmed that Eugenia Marlowe had been contacted and that the matter was being reviewed for formal charges. Nothing happened. Forrest later learned through his attorney that Eugenia had called the police department directly after being contacted and had spoken with a supervisor she knew personally through Neighborhood Civic Organization. The case stalled once again. Forrest replaced his mailbox for the third time, added a second camera covering the opposite angle, and waited. Eugenia destroyed it a fourth time 10 days later. Both cameras caught everything this time: front plate, side profile, full impact, and Eugenia's face clearly visible through the driver's side window as she steered directly toward the post. Forrest sent the combined footage to his attorney without bothering to file another police report. He had already decided that the police department in McKinney was not going to be the solution to this problem. He was going to solve it himself, legally, permanently, and in a way that required no cooperation from anyone else. He spent the following weekend drawing up plans for a mailbox post that no Cadillac Escalade in the entire state of Texas was going to knock down. By Monday morning, he had his materials list ready, and by the following Saturday the hole was dug, the rebar was in, and the concrete was poured. Forrest built the post over a single weekend, and he built it the way a man with 18 years of construction experience builds something meant to last. He dug 3 feet down, set a 6-inch wide rebar cage into the hole, and poured a high-strength concrete mix he had used on commercial foundation work for the better part of a decade. The post itself was a 4-inch steel pipe set into the concrete core and wrapped in a cedar sleeve on the outside. So from the street, it looked exactly like any other wooden mailbox post in the neighborhood. The mailbox mounted on top was standard size, standard height, regulation color. Every measurement fell within USPS guidelines, and every material matched exactly what the Silverbrook HOA bylaws actually specified for residential mailbox installations. Nothing about it looked unusual from the road. From the road, it looked exactly like the 3 posts Eugenia had already destroyed. Forrest finished the installation on a Sunday afternoon, packed the surface around the base, and went inside. Both cameras were running. He did not tell anyone what he had built. He simply waited. Eugenia drove past 9 Halcyon Ridge Court on a Wednesday morning at her usual time. Both cameras picked up the Escalade turning onto Halcyon Ridge Court from the Silverbrook main entrance at 8:34 in the morning. The footage showed her slowing slightly as she approached the front of Forrest's property, the specific kind of deceleration that comes from someone preparing to make a deliberate move. And then steering the front right corner of the Escalade directly into the post at the same speed and angle she had used 4 times before. The post did not move, not an inch, not even a fraction of an inch. The Escalade's front right bumper collapsed inward on impact, the hood buckled, the front right wheel well crumpled back toward the firewall. The airbag deployed, The car came to a stop at an angle in the street, with steam rising from the front end, and both cameras recorded every single second of it in full daylight. Forrest watched the footage from his kitchen that evening and called his attorney before he called anyone else. The post was still standing perfectly straight in his front yard. It had not moved at all. Eugenia Marlowe filed a complaint with the Silverbrook HOA board the same week. Her Escalade was towed away from Halcyon Ridge Court. Citing Forrest's concrete mailbox post as an unauthorized hazardous structure and demanding its immediate removal. The board reviewed the complaint and requested a copy of the relevant bylaw, the very bylaw Eugenia had cited. Section 5.8 of the Silverbrook Subdivision Charter contained no language restricting mailbox post materials, construction methods, or foundational depth. The board found no grounds to act and informed Eugenia, in writing, that the complaint could not be upheld. It was the first time in 9 years that the board had told her no about anything, and they did it in a letter. She then filed a civil lawsuit against Forrest, seeking the full cost of her Escalade repairs, $14,000. On the grounds that his mailbox post constituted a road hazard that had caused damage to her vehicle. Her attorney presented the argument with a straight face in Collin County District Court. Forrest's attorney presented 4 separate camera recordings showing Eugenia deliberately destroying his mailbox on 4 separate occasions, including the final impact in which her own driving caused every single dollar of the damage she was now trying to recover from him. The judge watched all 4 videos without interruption and dismissed her lawsuit before the first recess. The criminal mischief case that had stalled twice at the McKinney Police Department was reopened after Forrest's attorney submitted the full footage package directly to the Collin County District Attorney's Office, bypassing the department entirely. 4 documented incidents of deliberate property destruction captured on camera with clear plate identification was not a difficult case to build. Eugenia was charged with criminal mischief under Texas Penal Code 28.03 and faced a fine along with a permanent mark on her record. The HOA board removed her from the presidency within days of the charges being filed and hired an independent management company to audit every enforcement action she had taken during her 9-year tenure. Forrest Holden checked his mail on a quiet Friday morning, coffee in hand. The post stood exactly where he had put it, straight, solid, and completely unbothered, just like him. If this story reminded you that sometimes the best response to someone who keeps knocking you down is to build something they simply cannot knock down, share this video with someone who needs to hear it today. And if you have an HOA story of your own that the neighborhood never found out about, drop it in the comments, because we are always listening. See you on the next one, right here on HOA Unhinged.